Probably for 2011, the big work of the rules department has been the finalising and then the printing and distribution of the rules of golf and the rules of amateur status. So that's a 4-year process, but 2011 is when it all comes together and then needs to be fed out into golf clubs and national unions around the world.
From a personal point of view, obviously the biggest achievement for myself is I was very honoured to be made the Executive Director of Championships at the R&A following last year's Open Championship, which is obviously a great responsibility, and I'm very aware of that.
I work in the Business Affairs Department, and it's our responsibility to raise the money around the Open, eventually to give it away to the good of the game around the world. So yeah, that's pretty pleasing.
Well, I think the single biggest achievement would have been putting on our first ever Working for Golf seminar very recently in Prague, at which we gathered together 20 countries from Eastern Europe, ranging in size from Albania at one end to Ukraine and Russia at the other end. And the purpose of that was really to allow us to tell them what the R&A could do to help in their golfing growth and development, but equally importantly to get them to talk to one another. And we're hopeful that that will be the first of many such exercises around the world.
Actually, my favourite moment from the Open is the sort of party atmosphere and the carnival of the Open. I don't think I have a favourite per se. I just love it. We see people from all around the world coming to join us. The weather's not always what it might be, but hey, that's life in the British summer. And it is just the meeting of the people. I think it's fantastic.
I only saw one shot, and it was the one I wanted to see, and that was Rory McIlroy's opening tee shot on the Thursday morning. I was very keen to see him, conscious that it was his first outing competitively since winning the US Open so impressively a few weeks earlier. So I made a point of being at the first tee, rushed through the crowds to get there.
Darren Clarke's final putt at the 72nd hole was a highlight for myself and for a lot of the team I was working with for a number of reasons. Firstly, it was great to see a golfer, such a popular golfer, a figure in the world of golf, fulfilling his ambition, and to be at close hand right next to the green witnessing that was very special. Also, the final putt at any Open Championship is a culmination of a lot of hard work by a lot of people, and it just brings it home to bear that the work that's gone in and a great satisfaction comes from seeing the completion of a championship such as that, and it was great to see Darren meeting all his hopes and dreams.
My favourite moment from the Open actually was that very short putt that Darren Clarke holed to win the championship, which meant that we had survived another championship without any major rules incidents. That's always a success. A lot of it I would describe as being about preparation, whether it be the production of the rule book itself, which is obviously a year-round or a pretty well constant task. It's the same sort of theory with the Open Championship. It's about getting down there early, anticipating problems, dealing with those either from a course marking perspective or the writing of the local rules in a particular way. We then obviously have to brief the rules officials. We have an official with every game. That gives us a terrific resource to deal with any rules issues, but obviously we need to make sure that they understand our thinking, they understand how we're going to treat different cases if they do arise. So preparation is vital, and if we get all of that right, if we've anticipated the issues, then we've got the best chance for there to be a reasonably smooth championship.
The championship department, which I'm now heading up, has a very large role. Obviously, its core function is to implement and organise all of our championships. Obviously, the Open Championship is the focal point, but we have 11 other championships and international matches that need organising, which myself and our department take on.
The first thing is that the money we generate from the Open goes back to the good of the game around the world, and increasingly it is more overseas focused rather than used to be more British based, and I think that's just the way the game has grown and the R&A has grown. So if you want to give that money away, you've got to earn it and make it. So through our television contracts, through our patrons program, through our official suppliers, through the galleries that come to the Open and support in their huge numbers. We raise all that revenue and then give it to our colleagues to give it away, actually, which is great. So we go around the world supporting good causes with associations around the world.
What we do using the budget we're given is we support grassroots golf, we support championships, mainly international amateur team championships. We send equipment, both playing and greenkeeping machinery, all around the world. We do our bit for Golf for Disabled, it's very important. We work very heavily and hand in glove with professional bodies, the professional tours, the PGAs of Europe and the like, and send coaches globally really to not just teach golf but to teach teachers and leave some form of legacy. So we do what we can to help ensure that the game remains healthy going forward.
It would be wrong to pick out one thing. We're always striving to make the championship as strong as it can be, and we pick up lots of things such as different stand positions, moving car parks around, for example. But there are many things, but we're always striving to do better and we can always learn.
I think there's no doubt that the issues that we tackled concerning television-based rulings, we had the Harrington case in Abu Dhabi in January 2011, which we did tackle, and we produced at least a part solution, which we published in April, which is an unusual situation for us to publish outside of the normal review cycle, but we felt it merited quick and immediate action. And whilst I wouldn't do that differently, I do think that it's perhaps only a part solution.
In this type of work where you are to some degree taking a gamble when you're supporting a project, I think it's important to recognise that you will make mistakes. Equally important, I think you should learn from them, acknowledge them, and not get too upset by them. Because if you're not making mistakes, I'm pretty sure you're probably not doing enough.
It's to try and provide better education opportunities for people who wish to know the rules, to try and simplify the rules where we can, but at the same time, as I say, be faithful to the traditions and encourage a fair set of regulations. And traditionally it's that struggle between simplicity and fairness that keeps coming back as the real challenge.
We're also continually striving to improve our spectator facilities at the Open Championship, which I think we are doing year on year. You know, we have a special marquee for spectators now who wish to pay a bit extra to come and have an experience. We have an interactive zone at the Open now for spectators, and we're forever trying to improve their experience because that is an extremely important part of our championships.
The game that's not really our responsibility to do that, so I don't know about that. As for the Open, I think we are acutely conscious of our, I'm going to say fellow competitors. I don't think we're competing against the other four majors and the Ryder Cup, but we're acutely aware of what they do, how they improve each year, how the Masters is blessed with being in a single location. It doesn't have to move, we have to move around, so we have all the infrastructure problems of that. So we take a hard look at them each year and see what they've done, learn from them, as I'm sure they learn from us, and we try and improve year on year. It's essential that we keep the Open at the forefront of sport, not just golf.
We will be trying to get our affiliates around the world ready for Olympic golf. Not necessarily ready to provide players to compete in Rio in 2016, but to prepare them to approach their governments and their sports ministries to tell them that golf is now in the Olympics, and therefore what can you do for us now that we are running an Olympic sport.
And I think it's just to try and continue what we're doing but do it better. We're trying to create championships that young golfers and established golfers have a focal point for them to achieve their ambitions in our championships. It's something for them to aim for and play in. It's very important to us that the spectators get the facilities that they would expect a national championship run by the R&A, and we're always continually trying to strive for that. We just want to create championships that players come along and spectators come along and they know they're at a good championship, and the players are at a championship they want to be competing in and winning.
We would want to continue to work hard for golf. We would want to try and help unearth the next Suzann Pettersen or Rory McIlroy. They are out there, it's up to us to find them. And if we can have someone from a small country, perhaps not historically associated with golf, producing players good enough to compete and contend in the major championships, then hopefully we'll have done a bit of good.
My ambitions really concern the next review, which is really the next 4 years. So 2016 is already a date etched into our calendar, that being the date of the next rule book. It'll also see golf returning to the Olympics and how that impacts on the game and perhaps in a small way the rules by which the game is played.
To be the best. I think if we start out with the objective of being number one, that's a good place to start, and we're certainly working hard to do that. And to take everybody who enjoys and loves the Open on with us. I don't think we'd ever be revolutionary, I think we'd be evolutionary, and that's where we're heading.
I would say my personal highlight was to see Rory McIlroy win the US Open, a prodigious golfing talent, someone who I had seen a number of times as an amateur golfer, plays the game the right way, he gets on with it, he plays fast, great natural talent. And to see him in the first major after a difficult last round at the Masters, where he seemed to be on the verge of winning his first major, but then things went badly wrong. His reaction to that and to then go out and dominate the US Open, I thought was fantastic.
It's wonderful being able to work at the R&A because we all play golf, and it's wonderful to be here at St Andrews working and knowing that I'm a local member of a golf club, and obviously the Open Championship and all the golf that I play with our contractors and sponsors, and being involved in the game creates a huge buzz for golf.
Personal favourite, I still go back to the Jewel in the Sun. I'm a great Jack Nicklaus fan, always have been. I wish Tiger every success in beating his record, but if it didn't happen, that wouldn't particularly worry me, because I just grew up in Jack's era. And I just remember watching that engrossed for certainly the final 2 days. They had to hold Jack and Tom back on the 9th tee or 10th tee to move the crowds. It was so huge and vast, the crowds all following that match. It was fantastic.
My own personal memory, favourite memory of an Open Championship is in 1984. I was here as a spectator, a young spectator, and I actually followed Tom Watson around all 72 holes of the Open and watched every single shot he played. And when Seve was holing his putt up on the 72nd hole, I was watching Tom hit his iron into the 18th green, and just the whole atmosphere as a young boy, watching all that just made me feel so good, and I've thoroughly have enjoyed golf and the Open Championship ever since that moment, and continue to do so.
Jack Nicklaus playing his final round in the Open Championship here in 2005. When I first started playing golf and when my father took me to the Open Championship, Jack Nicklaus was very much my sporting idol growing up.
It's hard to go past some of those involving Severiano Ballesteros. When he won here in '84, that was very special, and then when he won at Lytham, of course, I think that was my first year on the full-time staff at the R&A, and That was a difficult championship. We lost a day, in fact. We lost the Saturday through torrential rain and flooding. But of course, everybody has forgotten that now because of a thrilling Monday finish, which Seve won. So yeah, that's probably an appropriate memory as we go back to Lytham this year.